welcome back. It's Kiss and Tell magazine here with Dr. Jenny, and we're here to say it's okay to talk about sex. And we wanted to invite Mohammed back to us
Uh,
because last time we didn't talk enough about sex. And Kiss and Tell magazine, hey, Kiss and Tell, we need to kiss and tell more. So
yeah,
Mahmoud, one of the things that we keep hearing about, at least in America, is about how Gen Z is the generation that's not as sexually active as like millennials or Gen X or even boomers. Have you heard any of this, and do you have any thoughts on it?
yes. There has been a discussion about that also in Brazil, like how the Gen Z is having less sex than we millennials and Gen X had. I think it can be related sometimes to the fact that there are more options available to them.
Mhm.
And have you heard of the concept of paralisia de escolha? It's like choice paralysis, I guess.
Okay. No, I haven't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when you have many options, you can't choose one. So basically, the relationship apps like Grindr, Tinder, Bumble, all those stuff, they create the fantasy that there is always a prospective partner available, whether sexual or romantic. So whenever you open your phone and you go on Tinder,
Right.
it's just unstoppable. You have an infinite number of prospective partners that you could actually go to bed with or go to the altar with. And no matter how much the apps tell you that their objective, their goal is to make you find your one,
Mhm.
it's not their real goal. They are companies. They want money. And for them to earn more money, you have to spend more time on the app. So
Right.
they just want you to like be there, just scrolling infinitely to the left, to the right, to the left, to the right, to the left, to the right. And
Right.
basically you'd maybe send hi to someone, hello, or to two or three person. One might answer you. But in order to go out with someone, you find on the app and it actually come to be something sexually or romantically, it's not, it doesn't always happen because I think a very famous therapist who says that is also Esther Perel.
Hmm. Yeah.
And she said it's not possible to find your love or your partner in an app that looks like a magazine, as if you're shopping for tomatoes. So people need
Yeah.
to go out more, to flirt more, to go
Right.
to public spaces. I started studying the psychology of attraction. There's a chapter in Miller's The Psychology of Human Sexuality called The Laws of Attraction, because I decided to start studying that because I've seen a lot of coaches selling courses like, oh, learn how to attract women and learn how to attract men. And I used to think that's bullshit. They're just like taking that out of their buttholes. And then I decided to study. And there are actually some laws
Yeah.
and some principles that can increase the chance of a sexual or romantic attraction to emerge between two people. It's not like you putting a watermelon on your head or biting your finger or doing something like that. It's
Yeah.
just like two that really stuck for me are humor, like your
Hmm.
state of humor. If you are in a good mood or a good humor,
Hmm.
okay. Because if you are very stressed because of life circumstances and someone very hot comes here and tries to start a conversation with you, you probably will repulse him because you are already in a dysregulated nervous system
Yeah.
state. You get what I mean? So the first thing is your state of humor and how the other person impacts your state of humor. Does
Mhm.
they make you feel better?
Right.
Okay. Okay, and the second principle that stuck with me was the principle of propinquity, which is proximity, geographical proximity. So the more people are in the same space together, the
Mm,
more the chance an attraction can develop between them. And we are being in online spaces more and more. Like every year, people are becoming more like stuck into the online spaces rather than physical spaces.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we don't go to physical spaces where we are with people, how will we build relationships with them? It's not the same online.
So you're saying that the reason your answer to the question of why Gen Z is having less sex is that the phones and the apps are keeping us disconnected.
Yeah, it could be one of the reasons.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a background in psychology, and in psychology, it's possibly that. Sometimes it's that.
Right.
This is one of the we can never like generalize and say, well, that is the reason.
Right.
That is
Right.
why. Yeah.
But it's
So
yes, correct. And yes, and if we did that, then things would be a lot easier if it was always a simple answer. And so, but one thing back to what you're saying is we're not in public, we're not at bars, we're not at clubs, or we're not like hanging out with friends and having a little, night
yeah.
out to
Uh,
meet people, or, or,
yeah.
or when you're at work, maybe the job that you have isn't conducive enough for you to interact enough with the public,
Yeah.
so it could be one thing I might add to part of the reason Gen Z isn't doing it more or having sex more or connecting with another person more is they don't know how. They don't know.
Yeah. You know, Jenny, sorry, I just remembered something that happened to me like 2 years ago, and I still remember it. It's something very simple,
Okay.
but it's something I miss that happening. And I think people who lived like in both universes, when there were apps and internet and when there wasn't apps and internet, I had an allergy attack. I ate some fish that I'm allergic to,
Yeah.
and I started having an allergic reaction. So I left the restaurant and went on foot to a pharmacy to buy an anti-allergic so that I won't have the allergic reaction. And when I was going to pay for the allergy pill, I had an instant connection with the guy at the pharmacy. How do they call it in English? The seller?
The pharmacist or the
The
clerk.
pharmacist. Yeah,
Yeah.
the one on the cashier, the
Yeah.
cashier
The
at the
cashier.
pharmacy.
Yeah.
He was so handsome, and we looked at each other in a way that it was like instant connection. And it was like, I felt like goosebumps.
Mhm.
And I really wanted to know him more, maybe like make out. But I was leaving the city I was in at the same night. We exchanged numbers
Yeah.
back then. But this is something people miss because they're always on their phones.
Right.
I'm particularly always on my phone. Like
Right.
I was at a restaurant here in Rochester this Saturday. I felt like the phone thing is a Brazilian thing, but
Mm.
apparently it's international. There was a
Yeah.
couple sitting by my side, and both of them were on their phones.
Yeah.
Like we use our phones to meet people, and when we meet them and get to have a relationship,
Yeah.
we're having dinner and we're on our phones.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy to me when I see that too. I see that when I'm out at a restaurant with my husband too, and I'm like, why are you guys out to eat? Why don't you just take it to go if you're not going to enjoy each other's company? So, and have a conversation. So,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
you
And,
get the point?
Oh yeah, it is. I mean, some of it is like you said. Some of it's the phone. Some of it's the social media. You know, some of it's the apps that they don't want you meeting people. They need you to keep connecting on that app. Some of it is where, like I said, who teaches you how to flirt? Who teaches you how to understand what you like and don't like, or what turns you on and what doesn't turn you on, or what you're looking for. Another thing I noticed recently is I heard a story of a teenager that was dating somebody. They're both 18-ish, but they're both legal, over 18, and they were just enjoying each other's time, connecting. They liked each other, they both were attracted to each other, but one of them wanted kids, and the other one didn't. And because they didn't connect in that way, they ended the relationship already. And I'm like, why would
Because they wouldn't kiss, or they don't want to
kids?
have kids.
No,
Kids,
right,
like kids.
right.
Okay.
One wanted kids. They knew they
But
wanted.
but they're 18, for
I
God's
know,
sake.
I know, I know. So they ended the relationship because of that reason, instead of just continuing to date, just to date. You know.
Yeah, but this maybe has to do with the thing that you think you have an infinite option of people that you can
Right.
build a relationship with. But
Mm-hmm.
it's an illusion. Social media and the apps, they create this illusion that you
Mm-hmm.
can find someone, the love of your life, at any time. I can like literally close our call now, enter the Tinder, the app, and find the love of my life. And it's a big lie that we've been falling for since those apps were invented.
Right. Yeah.
It's not as simple as people convince us it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. How do you, what, since you're studying, sexology and you've been doing this, for some time now, you're talking about sex and, how to have better sex, how to do a blowjob, if I'm not mistaken, advising people on that. How,
Yeah.
how do you talk to people about it's okay to talk about sex in general? Like you
Look,
and I are talking about because
for for
we're,
for me, it's very simple to talk about sex because of the background in which I was raised up. My father used to have a strip night. I don't know if I told you this story.
no.
Yeah, so both my grandfather, my maternal grandfather, he used to own a strip nightclub,
Uh-huh.
and then my father used to own a strip nightclub in Brazil. They were Lebanese immigrants in Brazil.
Okay.
Okay, I grew up in Lebanon with a very strict Muslim grandmother, so I used to have a lot of taboo and shame about sexuality. I
Mm-hmm.
used to have very strict, gendered, rigid rules.
Mm-hmm.
Although I'm gay and a sexologist, I still have like some strict gendered rules in me. Like I think it's polite that I open the door for a woman. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like I think I'm superior to her. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
those things were stuck with me, you
Right.
know?
Right.
Uh, but I was very like naive when I came back to Brazil. Not naive, but in a case, I had very strict gendered rules, and I had like I thought you could only have sex after marriage, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I used to think like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But then suddenly I was in Brazil because I really wanted to be with my father. I felt like I didn't have a father while growing up in Lebanon with my grandmother. And I wanted to be close with my father, which didn't happen. He just left me.
Mm-hmm.
And I stayed there with the sex workers who worked at his strip night. So they took care of me and they like taught me Portuguese. and I would go and see them working, and they knew I was gay.
Mhm.
Sure,
Mhm.
they were very important for my process of coming out. And that's where I had my first star, the sexual
Right.
attitude reassessment. Because I used to listen to their stories, see their shows, there were live sex sessions, and that's how my mind opened. And I also went to psychology undergrad. So education,
Yeah.
sex education, sexuality education is the most important principle. And you gotta have openness to experience. I have a lot of openness to experience. I did my big five personality traits test, and I scored very high on openness to experience. So I'm very open to try and to learn new things. But
Yeah.
there are also some techniques that you can use to talk about the things you like in sex and to facilitate conversations about sexuality.
Mhm. Yeah. So what do you tell people? How do you make it easy for
Like,
what would
for
be like
example,
one thing you would say or two things?
yeah, we have to agree on the fact that being a sexual being is not a negative thing. It doesn't make you less moral or less of a human being. It doesn't, like, being sexual doesn't make you a naughty or a bad person. I
Right.
think there is a general misconception that if you are a sex worker or a sexologist or promiscuous, like you have sex with a lot of people, then you are less moral. You are of a less value than, and if you are a virgin and Christian, then it's like you have gone to the Ivy League of morality. You get what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
one thing has nothing to do with the other. You can literally die a virgin and not have sex with anyone and be a very bad person, very
Right.
dishonest person, someone who treats other people bad. And
Mhm.
you can be like have sex with 1,000 men in 18 hours, like the OnlyFans girl, and be a very cool and nice person.
Right.
And also, it's very important to say that having sex with 1,000 men doesn't make you more sexual or more sexually satisfied, and doesn't necessarily make your sexual life more interesting than someone who had sex with only one person. Because what qualifies sexuality and sex as a satisfying experience is the subjective satisfaction one feels, the subjective how can I say, viewpoint. It's like how the person
Yeah.
himself or herself view their own sexuality.
But
Yeah.
personally, how they feel personally about it. How they,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. That's what I wanted to say. So I think the first step is to deconstruct some misconceptions and myths about sexuality. We don't want people to have their sexuality repressed like in the Middle Ages
Mhm.
or in the Victorian era. But we
Mhm.
don't also want people to feel coerced to have sex as if sex is an obligation, because it's not.
Right.
Okay, you have it if you want it.
Right.
I think we are living in a. I think Emily Nagoski calls that the desire and the pleasure imperative.
Mhm.
Okay, like people are feeling somewhat coerced sometimes to have sex with a lot of couples, use all the vibrators possible, open their relationships, and
Right.
this is not a synonym of free sexuality. Free sexuality, emancipatory sexuality, is when you live your sexuality according to your own values and desires
Right.
without being coerced by the repression or by the imperative. You get what I mean?
Yeah. You said that really well. Thank you. But
Great.
yeah, I mean, Kiss and Tell magazine, what we try to do is to help people say, to talk about sex, their sex life, their sexuality, and to verbally say it out loud instead of keeping it inside, and give them permission that it's okay to have that conversation. If
Yeah.
share as much as you want at the time. If you don't want to share everything, then don't. But have consent. But try not to keep the conversation squashed and
Uh-huh.
think, okay, we can't talk about that because it's sex. That's not true. I mean, that's a part of the human body.
Yeah.
So one of the best parts. So yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you, Mohammed. This
Oh,
isn't
it's over.
yes. Unless you have
Uh,
more that you want to talk about, you know.
yeah, no, I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm gonna go to find a coffee shop and do my homework.
But thank you for joining today, and it was a pleasure.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to talk to you again.